Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moment. Picture this. In the middle of the whirlwind of the latest BTS news, from updates on Namjoon and Hobi to Taehyung posting a picture of Jimin skateboarding, suddenly, a story emerges that makes millions of ARMY hearts beat faster. Not on stage, not at an official event, but in a quiet corner of Los Angeles, there was only Jimin and Jungkook. No staff, no cameras, just togetherness that felt too beautiful to ignore. What really happened that day? Let's uncover it all in today's video. Over the past few days, the BTS fandom has once again been taken by surprise with a series of fresh updates. From news about Namjoon and Hobi to Taehyung's post of Jimin on a skateboard, everything has stirred curiosity. But among all these updates, there's one story that made Jikook fans' hearts race even more. A testimony about Jimin and Jungkook meeting in Los Angeles. The story comes from a fan who, through her friend, claimed to have seen the two together about 2 weeks ago, just before Jungkook returned to Korea. At first glance, it might have seemed like an ordinary meetup. But when we look at the context, this story becomes much more meaningful. They knew their time together would soon come to an end, and that's exactly why they chose to spend it together. Not for something big or glamorous, but for a simple moment that's often more precious than anything else. According to the testimony, her friend, a fellow ARMY and a former hardcore Jungkook fan, was walking near a park when she noticed two very familiar figures. They were sitting casually, chatting while enjoying their drinks. At first, she hesitated, thinking it was just a resemblance. But the more she looked, the clearer it became. It was indeed Jimin and Jungkook. What made this moment so special was the fact that they were alone. No staff, no bodyguards, no other friends, just the two of them. The atmosphere felt calm, intimate, and natural, as if they were escaping the chaos of the world for a moment to enjoy a simple yet meaningful time together. Jungkook was dressed casually in a black t-shirt, pants, and a cap, while Jimin stood out in all white, creating a visual harmony that often reflects their personalities. Different, yet complementary. Parked nearby was a motorcycle, not a flashy big bike, but something simple and low profile. The presence of that bike only reinforced the impression that this moment was part of their real, everyday life, far from the public eye. Once they finished their drinks, they hopped onto the bike and rode off, perhaps to another spot to continue their time together. It was simple, but there was something so warm behind that image. The awareness that their time was limited made every second more meaningful. In fact, the fan who witnessed it said the way they talked and laughed felt like two people who understood each other without needing many words. There was a sense of comfort that could only come from a bond built over years. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. For years, whenever there's a chance, Jimin and Jungkook always find each other. They support one another, share private spaces, and maintain a consistent closeness, something that doesn't just happen by coincidence. Many ARMY believe these small moments are the real proof of their bond, far stronger than interactions we see on camera. Unfortunately, alongside this sweet news, misleading narratives were once again pushed by some Taekookers. After Taehyung's latest video upload, some began spreading claims that Taehyung and Jungkook were wearing couple outfits, specifically matching pajamas they believed carried hidden messages. The truth? That claim is completely baseless. In reality, those pajamas are complimentary amenities given to all first-class passengers on certain international flights, a fact easily verified. But the story doesn't end there. Another equally touching part came from the world of art. In an interview for Untold Layers, an artist named Lee K gave one of the most profound and poetic descriptions of Jimin ever spoken publicly. Unlike the standard praise idols often receive, Lee K shared a deeply reflective and honest view of Jimin, not just as a stage star, but as a human being with emotional depth rarely seen. When asked about the muse who constantly inspires him, Lee K said that over time, Jimin had become much more than just a source of visual inspiration. At first, he was drawn to Jimin's physical charm, the fluid lines of his body, the softness of his movements, and the balance between strength and grace expressed in every dance. However, the longer he worked to capture Jimin's essence, the more he saw another, stronger side. A deep melancholy, a stark contrast between the shining public image and a private side that might hold loneliness and scars. Lee K didn't romanticize that pain but acknowledged it as part of Jimin's identity. For Lee K, this inner tension is what makes Jimin such a compelling muse. He isn't a flat or perfect figure, but a human being with layers of emotion worth exploring with respect. For me, true respect always begins with the desire to have a dialogue, said Lee K, emphasizing that his approach wasn't an invasion, but a sincere search for connection. He saw every line in Jimin's face, every movement of his body, as a story that goes beyond the stage and cameras. If given the chance to speak directly, he wouldn't ask about fame, but about the burdens Jimin carries in silence, the wounds he hides, and the emotions he is forced to suppress. He imagined that if one day he were to create a new work about Jimin, it wouldn't be a flawless portrait, but a monochrome image with blurred edges, each brushstroke carrying the weight of experiences and emotions once lived. A work that doesn't freeze in time, but vibrates with the lingering touch of life and feeling. What Lee K conveyed wasn't just an homage to Jimin as an artist, but a sincere recognition of him as a human being, someone who, even in silence, can say more than most people dare to see. And perhaps, this is exactly why Jimin is so loved, because he isn't just a symbol, but a soul that lives behind all the lights. That's the story that made many ARMY smile and feel touched. A simple yet meaningful moment that shows just how strong the connection between Jimin and Jungkook truly is. And behind all the stage lights, there are always human stories we rarely see. Stories we may only hear from those who truly pay attention. If you believe that this small moment holds a big meaning, don't forget to leave a comment, like, and share this video with fellow ARMY. See you in the next Jikook Moment, where we'll explore more stories that make hearts race.